All right, being a licensed contractor, is it worth it to get your license? The pros, the cons, all that. Let's get into it. All right, I'm wearing pink because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Have you anybody in your family? Tell them to do their routine exams. It helps. It saves lives. Highly recommend it. Now let's get into the video. All right, so quick disclosure, whatever. I'm in Michigan, so everything I'm telling you is based off Michigan, their laws, Michigan licensing, all that kind of stuff. So I know there's a couple states that really anybody can really get a builder's or general contracting license. All they have to do is fill out some forms, no test, stuff like that. But then there's also a couple states where it's super hard to get a general contracting builder's license because there's so many things you have to do. Florida and California being, I think, two of the states that come to mind. Probably some other ones as well. In Michigan, you do not need a license to pull permits for commercial work, but you need a license to pull residential permits. So there you go. A couple other, that's just in this state. So everything I'm telling you obviously is from my experience in the state of Michigan. I can't speak for anybody else. So in the comment section, if you're like, oh, I don't need this, blah, blah, or I know you're probably not in Michigan, right? So let's get into it. So do you need a contractor's license to work for a customer? No, you do not. Should you? Probably. A couple of ways. There's a couple licenses in here in the state of Michigan. You have the maintenance and alterations license. That's like if you're just a masonry contractor, you don't need, that's all you do. You can just get your license for just that. And then there, you can pull permits just for that. That's limited to your scope of work. You can, like, landscapers and stuff like that, they can get licenses. I mean, you get specialized licenses just to do that kind of work. You can't build houses, you can't, do structural repair, stuff like that. And then also there is in the townships or the cities, different cities may require different licensing for such. Like I know down south, Romeo, something like that, because we're in Michigan here. Landlords can do, since they own the properties, technically, like, you can do a homeowner's permit, but landlords can't do structural repairs on the property that they own but they rent out. They actually have to have a license to do that. So different townships, counties, stuff like that are different. So off of that, the main thing about getting a residential builder's license, that's the license I hold, is that you can basically do everything besides the HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. Those are separate licenses. Obviously, if you're an electrician, you're going to need a license for that. That's different than a residential builder's license. Plumbing license as well. Mechanical, you need a mechanical's license. That's your HVAC, all that kind of stuff. Furnaces, AC, stuff like that. So that's the main thing. Now, if you're a homeowner, you can pull a permit for your own house for all of those. You don't need to have a license in electrical. You can do it. You can pull your own permit, have the inspector come in and inspect your work. That's a homeowner's permit right there. But most, I've had some customers want to do that. They want to forego my fee. And then I've had actually some building departments say, no, we want the contractor to come in here and pull it. So, you're going to pay my fee, which is also the design and my fee to pull the permit, and also the permit fee. So it costs money for sure. Time is money for sure. So having a residential builder's license, there is no general contracting license in Michigan. There might be in other states. I'm sure there is. You can let me know in the comment section below. But in Michigan, it's a residential builder's license. That's the license to have here. So the pros for it, mainly, everybody's gonna be like, you can pull permits. You can pull permits for work, and it gives you access to larger jobs, more work, because certain customers require licensing, because it's not having a builder's license. Not having a builder's license is not a direct reflection of your craftsmanship. It's saying that you're taking this seriously, because nobody's going to go through the courses and the studying and the testing and everything like that, and the financial investment for doing all this, just to be a weekend warrior. I mean, you can. There's a bunch of designers and real estate agents who have their builder's license because it just you know, it helps them along. It's for education. The course in Michigan, it's a 60-hour course they require you. That's for all licenses, I believe. Even, you know, even the lower echelon, you still have to take a 60-hour course. And it's pretty there's a lot of stuff in there. And I was like, had no idea. There's a law portion. There's a bunch of stuff. In the law portion, I learned how many laws I was breaking, basically, for not having a license. So that was awesome. So, not anymore, of course, right? So, basically, gives you access to work. You can pull permits, and you're legal. Like, it's in Michigan, if the job's over $600, you have to have a license to do that work, regardless. That's it. It's actually it's a law. So you can get arrested for it. So if somebody reports, you can get in trouble for it. So obviously, I'm not saying. I mean, I had to, you feed your family, you got to do what you got to do, but it's a law. They can enforce it, right? So you're legal. That way, you have a license. Boom, you got something. You can, somebody can look it up and make sure you're current. And it basically gives you a little more. I forget the word I'm looking for, but it makes you a little more legit, basically. Not that, I'm still the same business as I was before I had my license. But now I have more education. There's a residential builder's license behind my name and business, and I can pull permits. That's basically it. I've hired other contractors, residential builders. They're complete horse crap. So I mean, and I've hired non-licensed contractors that were fantastic. Absolutely, 100%. They just need to make a living, all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't determine the quality of contractor. It just determines their, I would say, they're willing, like they're never not going to have a license. I would never let my license default. I'd always renew. Even if I retire, I'm still going to, renew my license every 3 years because it's an asset, an absolute asset for sure. So you also have, I would say, another pro for being a licensed contractor is you have access to groups. There's just a whole plethora of people who want licensed contractors, or they have like a certain stigma to licensed contractors over non-licensed people. Right or wrong, it is what it is. I don't think of anything, if licensed or not. Actually, it doesn't really matter. I will say you do not have to have a license. You also need a license to actually file a lien on a customer's house, something like that. So you do have to have the license for that. Except if you are a subcontractor, not licensed, but you're working under a general, like a residential builder for that project, another licensed contractor, and say he doesn't pay you, you as the unlicensed contractor can file a lien under, for that property, for that customer, because you're working under that builder, that contractor, whatever, as long as you have the correct contract, and you have to have paperwork to back it up, obviously. So just keep that in mind. You can have non-licensed contractors working under a licensed contractor. So there is that. So I will say, that's the pros, really. The cons, there's not, the only thing you got to invest time and money. Like I said, 60-hour course. I would say probably to pass the test, probably another 120 to 180 hours of studying on top of that 60-hour course. I spent, I think, with the tests, preps, the books and everything, I think close to $1,000. And then every 3 years you've got to renew. So if you're not a veteran in the state of Michigan, if you're not a veteran, it's $200 every 3 years. And you have to do continuing education, 21 hours every 3 years. And then after the two, you renew 2 times, and it's only 3 hours, right? Basically an hour a year for continuing ed. So nothing crazy. So yeah, being a licensed contractor, it absolutely opens up a bunch of doors. I've gotten multiple jobs because of having a license. I'd say probably almost $100,000 in work so far, or well, just this year alone, really. And then going into next year, I will say, being the handyman, non-licensed, like honestly, 70% of my customers, maybe 80%, don't even care about my license. They don't even ask for a license. They don't care. Absolutely, I'll say that right off the bat. They don't care. If you have a website or Facebook where you have social proof of that you can do the work, and you have liability insurance. You have insurance. That's what most of them actually. Are you insured? Yes. That's where it ends. They can see via online presence, either Google reviews, Facebook, whatever it is. Craigslist. You can do the work. That's all that matters. That's absolutely they don't care. So there is that. But you're gonna obviously have a whole plethora of customers out there that require licensing. They want to be pull permits. You're legit. You're a legit business. You can be a legit business without having a license, but there's a certain stigma to it as well. So, being a licensed contractor, is it worth it? Absolutely, 100%. I recommend everybody go get your license if you have the means to. Like I said before, Florida and California, there's a lot of hoops to jump through, especially California being super liberal. But there's ways around it. I know. You can charge hourly, stuff like that, if you want to get around that $500-$600 buffer as well. So I think that's all I have about the whole, is it worth it? Being a licensed contractor, it is absolutely, this is my career. I wake up every day, play with power tools. I love it. It is what it is, right? So questions, concerns, corrections, did I get something wrong? Leave it in the comment section below. You guys have a great rest of your month.